Welcome to Independence Nation on the Light of Life Network. Today we're going to talk about the food stamp bill. As some of you may know, a few weeks ago the House passed a bill to cut food stamps $40 billion and over the next 10 years. So we're going to take a look at some statistics for the food stamps or the supplemental nutrition assistance program. That's what it's the real term, real name of the food stamp program. So let's go to our screen share of the statistics. And as you see here, as it says food stamp statistics, we have nearly 27 billion people on food stamps. The actual amount, 71,800,000,000 people. Total annual cost, that's the total annual cost of the food stamp program. Now, the number of Americans on the food stamp program is nearly 47 million people. At the percentage of the population on the food stamp program being a whopping 14%. Now, the total number of people receiving food stamps, so we're going to take a look at this from 1969 to 2011. You'll be astonished at the numbers. You see in 1969, there were 2,878,000 people on food stamps. The average monthly benefit was $6.63. Now you'll see that there is a large jump in the population on food stamps from 1969 to 1980, nearly 20 million people. In 1980, there was 21,082,000 people on food stamps with an average of $34.47 per month. Now, as you can see, there is a drastic jump. And you have to consider what was going on during that time period, 1969, 1980. Of course, it was during the time period of the Vietnam War. You had veterans come home and a lot of veterans with disabilities. And so there was a drastic jump from 1969 to 1980, nearly 20 million people. As we know, war has this effect on our country. So, from 1980 to 1990, you'll see there was a decline in the amount of people on food stamps. In 1990, there were 20,049,000 people on food stamps with an average monthly benefit of $58.78. So from 1980 to 1990, there's a not really drastic, about 1 million people in reduction, but there was a hike in the average monthly benefit, as I said, to $58.78. Now, from 1990 to 2000, we continue to see a decline in the population on food stamps. So in the year 2000, there was 17,194,000 people on food stamps. A decline of nearly 3 million people. Once again, the average monthly benefit jumped up to $76.62. So once again, you have more people working. You have people doing better in the median part of our population, and so there was a reduction of 3 million people on food stamps. Now, this is the greatest hike as we see from 2000 to 2011. Once again, stated in 2000, there were 17,194,000 people on food stamps. In 2011, it was recorded that 44,709,000 people were on food stamps. That is a jump of over 27 million people. Now, the average monthly benefit shows to be $133.85. And so once again, this is because of war. You see that there is a drastic jump of, as I said, over 27 million people as we were in war. This is the effects of war and what it does to our country. It places more people on the dependency of the country and drastically reduces the amount of people who are in employment. So let's take a look at the breakdown of the state food stamp participation. Coming in at number one, we see Mississippi at 20.8%. As you'll see that some of these states are from the lack of or low education, and some are, you'll see, from manufacturing jobs leaving the area. So as I said, coming in at the highest amount is Mississippi at 20.8%. Coming in at number two, we have Tennessee at 19.9%. Coming in actually tied with Tennessee, but coming in number three is Oregon. As I said, as some of these states are from manufacturing companies leaving the area, we have Oregon at 19.9% also. So we have underneath Oregon coming in at 4, New Mexico at 19.8%. And then Michigan. And once again, as I said, as manufacturing jobs left the area, you have a state food stamp participation rate that has gone over 19%, as Michigan comes in at number 5 at 19.5%. Underneath Michigan is Louisiana at 19.3%. And then Alabama, and as I said, we're only going to give the top 7. So Alabama comes in at number 7 at 19.1%. Now, I want to state also that this is Q&A. If you have a question, drop us a line. I'll do my best to answer it. If I don't know, I'll let you know that as well. If you just want to make a statement, you can do that as well. This is open mic Q&A. Go ahead, drop us a line. We'll read it on air. So let's take a look at some further statistics concerning the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. And these are some unbelievable statistics, as you'll find that over 46 million Americans, nearly 47 million, are on food stamps as previously stated. Now, that means that about 1 in 7 people are on food stamps. That means every pew in every church is filled with someone who is living literally off of the money of everyone else sitting on the pew. We're not talking about family members, not kids living off parents, but adults living off of other adults. So further, so 1 in every 7 people are now on food stamps here in our great nation. So number 2, let's take a look at another unbelievable statistic. Food stamps covers luxury items like lobster and filet mignon. Now, an image circulated of a receipt in which someone had $200+ worth of lobster tail and Mountain Dew and paid for it with a food stamp card. Now, when this was in question, the grocery store was asked about the situation, and they confirmed it was true. So you have people in our country who are on food stamps, living large off of lobster, filet mignon, and they're living it up. Even some Mountain Dew in there. Okay, so let's look at another unbelievable statistic. A family of 5 gets $700+ of food alone. Now, people who are on food stamps get at least $100 per person on average. So that means people who are actually poor receive well over this amount per person. As a federal statistics from the federal government alone, a family of 5 can receive some $793 per month, not including the 180 free meals offered at public school for children. So often what we find in this country is that people who are receiving food stamps, and I hate to say it, but there are some families or some that pride themselves on having children, and lots of children that they can't afford, just so they could up their food stamp amount per month. Needless to say, they are sending their kids to public school. Their kids are getting those free meals, and so what do they do with their food stamp money? Well, they exchange it for real money, or USD, United States dollar, and which is against the law. So we established here that there are some food stamp statistics and unbelievable statistics concerning people who are taking advantage of this food stamp program. Once again, this is Q&A. If you'd like to drop us a line, we'll read it on air. Feel free. The problem is with this is that there is a real hunger issue in America. So you may have those who are taking advantage of the food stamp program, but you have to take a look at the other side of the spectrum, that there is a real hunger issue in America. So let's take a look at some statistics towards this hunger issue in America. In 2010, 17.2 million households, or 14.5% of households, were food insecure. Now, this is the highest number ever recorded in United States history. 17.2 million households are food insecure. Also a statistic from 2010, about a third of food insecure households, being about 6.7 million households, or 5.4% of all U.S. households, had very low food security compared with 4.7 million households, or 4.1% in 2007. So you have this amount of food insecure households jumping from 4.7 million in 2007 to 6.7 million in 2010, a jump of 2 million households. So in households with very low food security, the food intake in some household members was reduced, and their normal eating patterns were disrupted because of household food insecurity. So you have people who would normally eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You have these food insecure households who may hit and miss, may get something to eat for breakfast, nothing for lunch, and a little something for dinner. In 2010, children were food insecure at times during the year in 9.8% of households with children, or 3.9 million households. So you have this battle among children in the household. Some basically may not get as much or as much of a food portion as the other children in the household. And 1% of households with children, or one or more of the children, experienced more severe food insecure conditions measured by the USDA, being very low food security, in which meals were irregular and food intake was below levels considered adequate by caregivers. So once again, you have portions being significantly lower for some people. Now, the median food secure household spent 27% more on food than the median food insecure household of the same size and household composition. So you may have a household of 5 people, and they're bringing in 27% more food than a food insecure household of that same amount of people, or the same 5 people. So once again, this is a Q&A. If you'd like to drop us a line, feel free. We will read it on air, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. So what does the food stamp bill say? As previously stated, the House passed a bill to slash $40 billion for food stamps. The bill will cut $40 billion in nutrition aid over the next 10 years. Now, it passed a 217 to 210 vote in the House, but the bill, as I stated, the bill has passed in the House, but it still has to pass in the Senate, which previously approved a much more modest reduction in food stamp spending as part of a broader bill that included agricultural spending, or agricultural subsidies, also known as the Farm Bill. So you already have a reduction in food stamp spending, and now you have this $40 billion reduction as a part of the food stamp bill. Now, why am I addressing this issue? Because we see a growing problem of the public having a dependency on the government. And the reason why this issue is coming up, because I feel as if the old system has to fail and fall for this new one world system to take its place. And so you have this dependency on government, and I'm afraid that later these entitlement programs will be snatched out from under the feet of the American people, and it's going to leave our country in this uproar, to say the least. But it's building a dependency on the government so that when this new world system comes in place, you won't basically fight against it. That you will have the dependency needing the government, and that you will quietly conform to this new system that's on the rise. Now, so how do we combat being dependent on the government as far as food? Well, when I was younger, when I was a teenager, my grandmother took me out back of the house. We had a little plot of land in the back of the house, and she taught me how to till the ground, and we began to put seeds into the ground. Needless to say, it yielded such things as corn, tomatoes, potatoes, greens, different things that we could eat. And so I know the benefits firsthand. We didn't have to go to the store after that to get food, as far as those potatoes, tomatoes, and such. And it really sustained us from having to spend so much money with local food marts or local companies. So what do I tell you then to benefit you from these types of things and the dependency on government for food? It's time to get sustainable. It's time to grow your own food, and so that should something happen and that they want you off of their grid, and there comes a time where if you don't conform to what they want, you will not have the money, you will not have the food, you will not be able to buy and sell unless you agree with their system. And so that's my advice to the people who, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. It's time to get sustainable. It's time to grow your own food, so you will have something in case occurrence such as this happens. So this is Keith Pitts reporting for Independence Nation. I hope this has been informative. Once again, let's get sustainable, and I will see you next time here on Independence Nation.